new form of Aikido I've been experimenting for the last 12 years. It's very different from the way I learned Aikido, and I hope you will find the benefits that I found in transforming my practice a little bit from how I learned to how I'm practicing now. Let's start with just how I view Aikido. And it's very simple understanding of why Aikido works and how it works. And if you'll all join me someplace where we can push against the wall. And we're going to do a lot of things that are old hat, but we're going to approach things from the ground up. So if you stand about half a meter away and you push against the wall or push against a solid object and you push really hard, you feel your foot dig into the pavement, right into the ground. It grounds you because this resistance stabilizes you. So if I'm pushing in, I can do all this kind of wacky stuff that I wouldn't be able to do without having this resistance, because the resistance stabilizes me, right? So but if we all come up toward the middle of the mat and push toward the same spot of the wall, okay? So we notice things happening as we push, and there's no wall there. Some people's legs go up like this, some people fall over. Nobody hit the ground though, right? Nobody fell over and hit the ground. Because we have an automatic response, an automatic defense response. When our body feels herself go off balance, it starts making adjustments. Even when I do this, I didn't have to instruct my leg to come out. It did it automatically. But if I go over to the wall and I do something like this, look, my foot's not jumping out. I don't have my foot raising here to balance myself. And I'm out of balance. But I have an illusion of balance. It's created by the support. So if this were to slowly go away from me and slowly go to the floor without feeling it, if it broke away or fell, I can catch myself involuntarily. But if it slowly went back in support, I could go to the ground without feeling it, without having a kind of startle response. So in Aikido, come here please, we don't want to lock our partner because that stabilizes them. And then what happens? This one comes in. I don't want to be withdrawn from my partner, just keep coming. What I want to do is I want to support my partner. So he never feels himself go off balance. So we look at the nature of attacking, and we start to see why O-sensei, when he came out into the dojo, he didn't address the students by saying, run away! Come on. Did he? He didn't walk into the dojo and say, defend yourselves! And all the Uchideshi defend themselves. No, he walked in and he said, attack! Because the attack is what drives Aikido. Without the attack, there's really no purpose for Aikido. This is Buddha. This is interactions with someone who's needing a connection. So how is it that we can learn how to support our partners without resisting what they're doing, without withdrawing from what they're doing, but actively demonstrating what O-sensei said so many times, that Aikido is love? How is it possible? What does he mean by that? When I first started practicing Aikido, I came into a dojo and it said, there was a poster of O-sensei and it said, Aikido is the loving protection of all things. And then I proceeded to learn Quakenbush. And I said, well, wait a minute, because I thought I was going to learn that other part. Why am I learning this? And my teacher said, well, that's so you can protect yourself. Protect myself? Yes, from the person doing Aikido. Protect myself from the loving protector? Don't worry about that. You'll figure it out. Give yourself about 45 years and then it'll all be clear. Well, you may have heard my story about how my training transformed. I was working with a beginner, and this beginner had some training in boxing. So he was very reluctant to attack. And I said, well, you have to really kind of give me some energy, otherwise the Aikido, there's kind of won't work. And he's still a little wary of, well, you know, what are you going to do? Because I don't really know much about this martial art. So he's reluctant to this because he has an intuition and a trained response that when he commits to an attack, he makes himself vulnerable. So finally I said to him, look, you just have to trust me, I'm not going to hurt you. And so he said, all right, then he's going to start choking me. Even though I had my hand out here, and a clear invitation, he ignored that, went right for the throat. Okay, well, no big deal, right? I've learned half a dozen, maybe 10 techniques for dislodging, you know, throat grabs, and lo and behold, none of them worked. This was after 18 years of training. Almost 2 decades of going to the dojo 3 or 4 times a week, practicing for hours. I've done these techniques hundreds and hundreds of times. What was going on here? How could this happen? It's not that I came to Aikido because I was looking for a martial defense mechanism. I had seen beyond that earlier. But I had to reason that if this was really what O-sensei intended for me, if I was really following what he meant for me, it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't feel helpless. I wouldn't be totally ineffective with these things I'd been learning. So I figured I must have left something out of my training for 18 years of work it did. So what I did was I looked at the teachings of O-sensei, and I noticed that I started really paying attention to the stuff that I thought was poetry before. Aikido's love. It's not about winning or losing. It's about unifying. And I thought, well, it doesn't make any sense because we're always putting people on the floor. And when I get Nikyo, man, it doesn't feel like loving protection. You know, so what is this all about? So I started postulating about the nature of ki, Aikido. Michael, hey, how are you? And there's this central word in Aikido, and I found that a lot of Aikido is a ki that's nothing. It's, you know, it's nothing. It doesn't even exist. How can the central part of this name not exist? What does that say? You know? So I said, okay, well, what is ki? What is it? And I kind of took this idea that it's universal energy, and I thought, well, I can understand that. It's right out of the Big Bang. This energy came out of the Big Bang. It's still coming out in the universe right now. And that this is actually how we move around the world. We have ki, this energy that comes through our system, and we tend to think of it coming through our hara, right? And the hara is a very interesting thing because it's our center of gravity. And it connects us to the center of the earth. And that's connected to the center of the sun through gravity and through all the other star systems and the whole galaxy. And all the galaxies have centers to them. So we are literally connected to everything in the world through this point, right? And this ki flow that comes out of us, this is all coming way back from 16 billion years ago when something went boom and built the universe. So I started to think about this, and I thought, well, this is life energy, and we use this. It kind of sits in us when we're not acting. We're still alive, the energy's there, but through our intention, we move. So if I intend to go over and shake Dave's hand, I don't put my foot out, kind of adjust myself, and try to go over there. I intend, and my center goes. And I say, hey, Dave, now did you see my hand went up right at the right place? All of these things my system has learned as an expression of ki, as an expression of my intention. So intention is a regulator of ki flow, okay? So when you have intention, your body acts. Now some of these intentions are involuntary, like swallowing. I can purposefully swallow, but if I take a drink of water, I don't have to think about swallowing. It's an automatic intention. It's the intention to put my food or my liquid past my trachea, down into through my esophagus to my stomach. That's the intention in swallowing, but it's an involuntary intention. Voluntary intentions we see more in what we choose to do, like when I went to shake Dave's hand. Now the interesting thing about that is that when I intend, I move my center. And has anybody ever tripped on something, well, that's because your feet can't keep up with your intention. We don't see the obstruction, so our center is moving forward and our feet can't keep up. And down we go. So, how does intention figure into Aikido? And especially, how does this idea of love fit in? Well, when you think about ki in living things, it's what connects us. The life force connects us. And when we connect to other people, it feels really good. This is how we continue to propagate our species, through love. It's how we bond together to join each other in the world to solve problems. As a family, as a tribe, as a clan, as a nation, it's through love. When we don't have love, it's difficult for this bonding to happen. So when you think about ki as a form of the connective properties of ki, well, maybe way back when we started becoming conscious of this thing that connected us, for want of a better word, and without truly understanding it, we called it love. Okay? Now, when we unconditionally love, we feel this energy flowing out of us, don't we? When we love each other, when we love someone, we feel an openness. We feel this energy connect, and we feel it come back to us. And if we unconditionally love, then this feeling comes out in a great big field that encompasses everything. But when I start putting barriers to my love, like, I don't like the way you looked at me, and I don't like the way my neighbor lets his dog bark at night, and that person, he ran his bicycle across my lawn, and all of these things that cause me to withhold my love. Neighbor, you dog bark, I'm not going to give you this life-giving energy, because there's something about you that makes people like that. Well, people who love, they rarely attack anyone, right? But people who have these boundaries to love, these barriers to love, that connective property grows and grows and grows until it wants to explode out. And then when there's a little crack, a little fissure in that armor, that's when it comes out like a lightning shock, like electricity that's built up in a cloud to such a great degree it has to zap itself down to a tree or ground itself in some way. So when you think about it that way, and where does it go? It goes to the central core. It goes to the center. People don't go, oh, Heine, you make me so mad. Oh. No, it goes right to the central core. And the idea is that if I give enough energy, it's going to connect right down to that point, and it's going to take that point and put it on the ground. And if I'm really successful with that, that point will go 6 feet deeper, if you know what I mean, in the surface. Okay? But it's the same energy. It's the same energy. So when I started thinking of it this way, I said, oh, the attack is a misguided attempt at love. This connective force needs to happen. That's what O-sensei needs. Because if he attacks me, and I can love, if I can get him love, suddenly, he doesn't want to attack anymore. We see this happen all the time in our daily life in non-physical ways, right? Somebody comes into our field of reference and they go, and you go, hey, how are you doing? And they can't continue their attack, or it gets difficult. So anyway, that's what we're going to explore in this week. And we're going to explore a little different way of putting this into practice so we start to discover things in ourselves. These involuntary intentions that keep us from loving. Okay? So with that in mind, may I use you as an example? Okay. In a battlefield, in a conflict situation, we have developed ways of dealing with a threat.